Do you think, is it possible to have a third-party system? Like, you have your prosecutors, you have the defense attorneys. Is it possible to also have an overview by an independent group before anything gets started, where people can present their evidence so you can find out if something's totally bullshit?
Joe, it's supposed to be the grand jury system. And you know what? Most people don't know this. There's a judge in New York that has a very famous quote, which is, you can indict a ham sandwich. You can get a grand jury to believe anything because the standard is much lower than it is to convict. It's that they have to be convinced, what is it?
There has to be a probable chance of success at trial. So two issues. Probable cause and a relatively good chance of success at trial.
And who consists of the grand jury? Who are the members?
9 citizens.
Well, it's 9 citizens in Ohio.
9 in Ohio.
There are other jurisdictions, both federal and state, where there's more. But what happens is, and something that people don't know, is that the defense is not allowed to present anything. The defense lawyer is not allowed to be there. So it is quite literally, this is not hyperbole, it is quite literally a one-sided affair. The number of cases that go before grand juries and don't get indicted is so infinitesimal that it's probably less than 0.0001%.
It's probably not even statistically
Christ.
significant.
What I was asking about is an independent group of attorneys.
That's
instead of having a grand jury system, have a completely independent, and then regulate it. Make sure they're independent. No financial ties, no ties to anybody that's a part of any of it. And then make sure that those people, that their position is to review things and make sure there's no bias and there's no bullshit.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that, before you could actually say, yeah, let's try it out in court?
Are you kind of saying after the arrest, Joe?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it should be equal sides. Like the prosecution side should be able to divulge their evidence. The defense side should be able to divulge their evidence. It should be independently reviewed by a group of completely outside attorneys that have no vested interest in the results of this whatsoever.
It's an interesting idea.
It's not a bad idea because people would be less likely to try to commit fraud because then you would have to have some conspiratorial relationship with the people that are the independent attorneys now. There'd be another paper trail. It'd be a little sketchier. You wouldn't know if you could pull that off. That would be dangerous, especially if they're completely independent. You don't know them.
Right.
So the way you could do it would you could find independent. First of all, think about the amount of money we spend in this country on shit that everybody agrees is terrible. If we could funnel I don't even want to bring up whatever political cause. Just if we could funnel some of that money into preserving innocence, make sure that people are never tried with a crime that they shouldn't be tried with. And it's not that you have a bad defense attorney and they have an awesome prosecutor. Nuh-uh. It's all, is this a legitimate case?
Right.
And if you started doing that, there would be consequences for bringing up illegitimate cases. You would be investigated. You could potentially face charges.
You've just stumbled into what is a wormhole because you've brought up so many issues that are so mired in politics and statutes that in my mind make no sense. You would be upending such a institution that it would cause a revolution, and it's in fact not that revolutionary of an idea.
It's not.
And if it were ever
fairness,
if it were ever possible, I would venture to say that these times make me feel like about anything is possible.
Yeah, this would be the time that something like that could get pulled off. I think there's a problem. And I think the problem is people are very competitive and they want to win. Everybody wants to win. And it's important for your career if you win. And when people play games, they cheat. I see people cheat at pool. I've seen professionals cheat at pool. I've seen people cheat at cards. I've seen people cheat at everything. People cheat. They want to win. It's a horrible byproduct of that instinct that we have to win when attached to a legal system that could lead innocent people to be prosecuted. You know, I was listening to a podcast today about the founding of Jerusalem, and it was in one of the cases was a guy who was in trouble for something that he didn't commit. They knew he didn't commit it, and then they kept him in jail and trumped up charges and charged him with something else. So it's just like this is 1948 or 47 or whatever it was. So this shit's been going on probably thousands of years.
For sure.
People have been prosecuting people for things that they didn't do, knowing they didn't do it so they can win. I think cops do it sometimes. I've seen cops plant drugs. I've seen it on video. There's a ton of them online. You can see cops plant guns. You can see there's a one where a cop shot a guy and then pulls out a gun and throws it on the ground. You can see the video of it. He didn't know he was being filmed. It fucking happens. It
does
happens
happen.
because people want to win. They want to win. They're playing a game. And they're in a system, and the system rewards success. And if you fucking fail, or if you something falls apart and it looks bad for your career, doesn't progress.
Well, you know where you can start, which is an easier fix. If there's accountability, and I say easier fix because I don't want to throw cold water on your idea. It's a fantastic idea, but it just seems like pushing not a boulder uphill, like a mountain, and moving it.
Do you think that's bigger than Bobby Kennedy running the HHS?
Yeah, I do.
That's
I'll tell you why. Because you would be there are so many constitutional issues with the grand jury system and so forth. But here's something that is not that difficult. Prosecutors have immunity. There are no consequences. So all of these cases where you hear people have been wrongfully convicted, prosecutors don't turn over evidence that would point to their innocence. That's what JD was referring to when he said exculpatory. That just means that would tend to prove innocence rather than guilt. That's constitutionally required that prosecutors turn that over. But these prosecutors don't have any accountability. And you're going to see in a few minutes when we're going to get to it, what happened after JD made his decision. What happened between when we filed it and today is if you don't have warm blood pumping through your veins, if this doesn't get you in some way. But yeah, I think,
I think there's an easier way to do it, Joe.
Yeah.
I think that you get county prosecutors that are extraordinarily powerful in their community. It's like, I try to tell people, vote local because, the President of the United States isn't going to indict you. The guy that's sitting in the county prosecutor's office will.